Hey, we're History Hikers. I'm Dries.
And I'm Jente.
Welcome to the Castel de Cervello, which looks a lot like the Alsace.
Let's take you along.
This isn't Alsace though. We are still in Catalonia. We parked near the foot of the castle and started climbing. On our way we passed by the church of Santa Maria de Cervello. It's a Romanesque church dating back to the 11th or the 12th century. Sadly it was not open so we couldn't see inside. Nothing left to do but to continue hiking.
The castle was first mentioned in the early 10th century, though most of what we see today dates to the 13th century, with several older parts from the 11th century still visible. Its location on a long and narrow cliff overlooking the Llobregat Valley makes it an important strategic site.
Initially, the lords of Cervello were loyal vassals to the kings of Aragon. Somehow, they changed their minds during the 13th century when they rebelled several times against the crown. On one occasion, the king conquered the castle after 13 days of siege. Fierce battles were fought in the Llobregat Valley, impoverishing the lands and causing many of its inhabitants to search for a better life elsewhere.
Following the path, we reach a vaulted room. It looks like it could have belonged to a chapel, but most likely was just a storage room. The holes in the walls indicate where wooden shelving might have been. The path circles around the rock until it reaches the lower enclosure.
The lower enclosure was intended for housing the majority of the castle's occupants. It's difficult to identify specific buildings, but some logical thinking and imagination goes a long way. The carved out section of rock might have been a cistern. A partial staircase would indicate a second floor to a building. It seems like one building had a nice stone floor. Maybe this building was more important than the others. You get the idea. The entirety is overlooked by the big tower of the upper enclosure.
The castle changed hands a few times during the 14th century. During one of these transactions, it was noted that it was almost in ruins. New reinforcements were made around 1462 in yet another war against the Aragonese crown. The castle still had a military function up until the 18th century, when it was finally destroyed during the War of the Spanish Succession.
The castle chapel was restored around 2010 when a campaign was launched to consolidate the ruins. If you check our sources, you can see some photos of what it looked like before its reconstruction.
The upper enclosure is located on top of the rocky peak, following the outlines of the cliff. It's around 15 meters higher than the lower enclosure. This was of course the home of the Lord of Cervello. Some walls are up to 1.5 meters thick.
The castle has known a long history. It has seen some prosperous times, but also had to endure some hardships as well as many battles. That much is clear when walking through these ruins. With the help it has deservedly received in 2010, it's ready for a whole new chapter in its life. One of imagination of a glorious past and a renewed interest in its historical significance. That was the Castel de Cervello. Thank you so much for watching. Time for the arbitrary subjective castle score. I'm gonna go for I think 8.5 even. Feels like we're in Alsace, and that takes me home. What do you think?
I'm going to say a 7. I mean, yes, it feels like the Alsace, but shouldn't it feel like Catalonia? I don't know. There were a lot of interesting stuff, like the basin on the lower courtyard. What was that? I don't know. But mostly it's rather simple.
Thank you so much for watching, as I already said before.
And like, comment, subscribe and all good YouTube stuff if you want to see more of these kind of castles.
Leave your own score in the comments. Bye.
Bye.